he solidified things spiritually. Notice that, he fasted for 40 days. Notice he always wandered off. Notice he performed miracles. He did all of these things to fulfill the law so that it gave us an ability and a right to be able to do what is right. Right? He came to do those things. And because he came to do these things, it helped us greatly to become much better as people. And it also gave us a great opportunity to be able to do much better things. And so now we are faced with a circumstance where we see the signs that are taking place. We know what is right, but also we have, reached a modern day times in our lives where we need to make the best choices, because some people might not think it's cool to worship God. They might think it's something else. They might say, well, I have tried God. I've read the Bible from, you know, the beginning to the end, and I haven't noticed anything. But I'm here to tell people that the Bible is to be read on a spiritual level. You see what I mean? You have a physical eye and you have what? A spiritual eye. What we need and what is truly important is to be able to tell the truth. Because guess what? The truth is one thing. Sometimes the truth can change the way people see things or the way people understand. It could make them feel uneasy. But as long as you know that you are actually talking the truth from your heart, right? Then you shouldn't be able to offend anybody, because nobody should be offended by the truth. See what I mean? Because the truth might disappoint other people. It might change the perspective of other people. It might get them to be offended. But as long as it's the truth and you are not speaking lies, then you are on the right path. Because He's the truth. Jesus Christ is the truth, the way. That's what people need to understand. I certainly know that the world, right, changes from time to time. I just want, like I said, ask your friend to watch this video if he has an opportunity. And I want people to understand that the Bible is one perspective of God, His basic instructions of life. But ask your friend that if he seeks God, he can simply say this if he does not believe in God and he wants to know if God is there, because the best thing a person can do is give a chance to God. See what I mean? God says, if you seek me, you'll find me. Right? So His words are never lies. So he needs to give a chance to God so that God can present Himself to him or show signs and wonders to him so that he's able to understand, because God says He would always reveal Himself in many ways if you seek Him. So just say, God, if you are there and I don't believe that you're there, but if you're there, reveal yourself to me, right? That should be something that he prays. And God will then reveal himself, present a situation, because he's the creator of all, present a situation to him so that he is able to more than see. And of course, what you can do as a friend is also pray for him. Pray that God reveals himself in such a way that he will understand, he or she will understand. You see what I mean? Because he is mighty and he's everywhere at once. He's the fresh air that we breathe. And of course, he is the life, he's the way. Regardless of what people might say or what people might view things, right? Regardless of what people might say or what people might think, we are still there. You see what I mean? We are still there. And of course, God is always here. Our life doesn't finish when we pass away. However, it's a continuous to the spiritual side of things. Our natural life, our real body is a spiritual component because we are meant to live forever. And you cannot live forever physically, but you can live forever spiritually. And I know technology has advanced so quickly that people want to live for hundreds of years. And maybe they might develop technology. Heaven is all basically possible. However, it is the choices that you make. God, as you know, it has given us all assignments. It is up to you to complete that assignment or assignments. If you can complete your assignment, then surely you have fulfilled the heart of God, because that is the choice. You see what I mean? It's up to you if you want to fulfill God's, assignments that he has given you. And in order for you to fulfill, then you would be able to. Because of course, he's the mighty God. And he's the King of kings and Lord of lords. If you choose to worship him, that would be much better for you. The world might not like you so much because, of course, it's a flesh versus spirit. And the flesh despises the spirit, and the spirit despises the flesh. They're all fighting on a daily basis to gain position in your mind. So it is what you feed it, what you choose to give it. If you like, you can share this video because this video can help other people. See what I mean? And so understand that sometimes you may think about all these things and say all these things, but what is really in your heart? Right? What is in your heart? Because what is in your heart will ultimately come out. We all know that. All right. MGM. So what I'm saying is shout out to you for, of course, messaging back and forth and participating in this live. God will bless you in many ways because you are also doing God's work. And regardless of any situation that you're in, may God guide you and bless you through. Because when you are doing God's work, a lot of times, right, The devil tries to create situations as well, physical situations, to try to change, you know, your heart's desires. And of course, let God make your heart's desire remain so that you can elevate and grow in your journey and in your relationship with God. And anybody that you speak to about God, let them have a soft ear. Let God, humble them so that they are able to understand the, you know, the ways of God through the words that you express to them, through the passion that you have shown them. Because we live in a world where a lot of people don't have a long attention span, as you can see all over social media. 10 to 15 seconds, 20 seconds here and there. And everybody's trying to be quickly microwave, 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 just move quickly. But it's a long journey, and we need to more times take our time because, yeah, it's sad, but it is true. A lot of people really care more about money, right? It's almost like when you talk about God, they associate God's knowledge and wisdom with poverty, you know, but they have to understand God is the maker of all. And he's saying it's harder for a wealthy person to make it to heaven than a camel jumping through a needle. So that should tell you that he knows that though money gives you, position to solve a lot of physical problems, it also takes away from spiritual problems, meaning that it it fades you. It doesn't make you think deep because every problem you try to throw money to solve that issue. But you see, if you don't have, I'm not saying money entirely is bad, but having a balanced amount is good for your spiritual side, is good for your soul because it allows you to depend more on God. And we are in times that we definitely need to depend on God. We definitely do because that is truly important. If we, fade away and we don't depend on God, it will change how we are as people, and it will, definitely change our destiny because our destiny, right, is the reason for our purpose of creation. If you miss your destiny, and nobody can, because God says he is a purposeful God. So that means he can use anybody, right? He can use anybody, no matter what you are. So any faults, any mistakes, anything that you do, he uses it for good simply because he knows why he created you. A lot of people don't understand how they fit, but you might not look up to standards. Just like how David didn't look up to standard to Goliath, but David's spirit was much more, 10 times greater than Goliath's. And so you see, that is showing many characters, meaning that don't look at the physical, don't look at the book and judge its cover. You know, I seen what's it called? A lot of presence of God. So basically, I had an experience where I went to like a prayer camp where we went on a retreat. And during that retreat, right, they had like a prayer towers, like prayer, um, ladder where they stand, like about, I think, 10, 15 prayer warriors, 16. They were praying, and then you walk through the 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 towers. So walking through it, what happens is you will walk in faith. So you'll close your eyes and you'll walk slowly through it. And during that time, I was hit right strongly with the power of God, which then it knocked me out. So I couldn't stand for, a few hours. And of course, they were praying, praying, praying. But in that time is when I felt God's presence so much, to the point that whatever I was wearing, shoes, I went to sleep and I felt empowerment of God. And since then, I was able to pray in tongues. I was able to see visions. I was able to see so many different things. And that was the experience. And that was around the time when The Passion of Christ first was released. And so I remember, on a Friday night, we're watching it. And my pastor was preaching. And at the very moment when Jesus Christ was carrying the cross, right? Right? At that very moment, yes, I believe so. At that very moment when Jesus Christ was carrying the cross and he was being hit, and he he dropped the cross and he was picking it up again, and a lady, right, came to give him water. And before he can get the water, the guard hit the water out of the lady's hand, and the cross then again dropped, and there was like a sound of like a bell sound, like a very high sound. At that very moment is when I seen the image of God, and I felt the presence of God so high that I told you I was then knocked out for some time. And you know what I mean? They prayed, they prayed, they prayed. But when I woke up, I felt so much stronger and I was able to see these things and understand these things. And I believe that everybody has their time and their experience. And that was the retreat that I had my experience. And from then, I went through the ups and downs, but I never forgot God. And I always try to strengthen my relationship with God. You see, I believe that at the times when you are in fact desperate is when God will reveal himself, because he's everywhere and he's there. But you have to align yourself with, you know, with God's alignment. Because guess what? Yes, just like Job. Do you remember the story of Job? Job never seen God, but God was in his heart. And you see, God also talked about Job and knew that Job was his, most faithful servant. You seen that? He even said, right? The devil knew that Job was very faithful and Job was blessed. And he was blessed simply because he loved God and he had God in his heart. So I believe you're just like Job, right? Job was blessed abundantly, and that God would use you in many, many ways. Ways that, you're thinking of other people that don't believe in God. So you're thinking of ways, of course, to win souls for the kingdom of God. And I believe God will bless you in a way where you're going to win more souls than you ever known to the kingdom of God. Because guess what? If you're thinking of one and you change their mind, the same formula will change so many other people's minds. And a lot of people, some people, they change the way they are because they're like, oh, I'm not seeing miracles. If I see miracles, yes, miracles can change your perspective and say, well, yes, God is God. But if there's no miracles, that doesn't mean God doesn't exist. You see what I mean? That's what people